Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to another episode. Today I am interviewing Jonathan Gerber and Jonathan Fudge, who each own professional balloon decorating companies and entertainment, and they've come together to create a new business called the Balloon Guild. And this is a subscription service that offers balloon recipes to people like you and me who want to take a shortcut and are willing to invest a little bit of money to have access to not only their recipes, but other people's recipes as well. Just this month, I have added some of my recipes. So my organic garland recipe, an organic arch, classic column, because what I learned once I started moving in the direction of hiring help is that if it's in my brain, it's pretty much useless to anybody else. Things have to be written down. So my recipes are much more on the basic side, but you can find really complicated sculptures, patterns, arches, every type of column you could ever imagine, all with instant access if you join the Balloon Guild. And they're even offering a special coupon code to listeners, so make sure to check that out in the show notes wherever you're listening. In addition to talking about the Balloon Guild, we are talking about hiring and growth and scaling our companies, because these two men have done that really well, and they've done it in different ways from me. So it was a fun conversation to talk about where to find help, who to hire, areas to outsource. It's a great conversation. So I know you will enjoy it. We are going to take a quick break to head over to the U-Glue hotline, and then we will get into this interview with the men behind the Balloon Guild. Welcome to the U-Glue hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks, brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hi, Sarah. My name is Denver. I am the owner of Called to Party, which is a balloon business located in Nova Scotia, Canada. And I'm just calling with a little tip because I recently had an order with a client, and they had gotten a number stack from me, and the number stacks are a foil number based on like a small 3 stacked column. And I was like, okay, so I need to find a way to cover these without my clients' children seeing them when they pick it up. So I purchased matte pink garbage bags and some matte pink extra large bags, and they work perfectly to conceal the number stacks so my clients' kids don't see them when they pick the balloons up. So a little tip is, if you get a colored or black garbage bag for your balloons, if they have a kid coming to pick them up with them, I know it's not the cutest always, that's why I got pink, but you can hide the balloons so they literally just look like you're picking up a garbage bag instead of actually picking up balloons. So if there's a surprise, you don't have to leave the kids at home if there's room in the car, of course. So yeah, that's just my little tip to make it a little bit easier and keep the surprise. Thank you so much.
Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, U-Glue, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on U-Glue when you buy directly from Having a Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. Welcome to this episode. We have Jonathan Gerber and Jonathan Fudge, balloon legends in their own right, but now also the owners of the Balloon Guild. So we are here to talk about a very cool new resource. Before we jump in, why don't we get some introductions out of the way? Jonathan Gerber, let's start with you.
Hey, I'm Jonathan Gerber. I have been messing around with latex since 2001. Started as a balloon twister. 2010, bought my first decor business. Bought a handful more since then. Almost like 9 months ago, I guess, started the Balloon Guild, which is going to be my legacy, I think.
Very cool. And Jonathan Fudge?
Yeah, I've been in the balloon business for quite a while myself. I just did the math. It was in 94, I twisted my first balloon animal, and then went into the restaurant business, expanded into the entertainment business, and then bought a balloon decor company, been kind of growing ever since. And for so long, I thought that success was what other people said it was. And so I was always striving to do that. And here recently, my big revelation is that success is what you make it. So I absolutely love that I've been able to define my success, redefine my journey, and to reestablish my goals. And I'm feeling so much better in doing so.
Good. Oh, that's very cool. And both of you are in Florida, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we're like the same person. So I started as a balloon twister. I think Fudge started as a twister before me.
Yep.
I became the manager of someone else's entertainment company. He became the manager of a balloon twister company. I bought the company. He started his own balloon twister company. I bought a decor company. He bought a decor company. And we're like 45 minutes away. I'm surprised like black holes don't open when we get together. We talked about our past. We both have a lot of similarities in our upbringing and like growing up dirt poor and not knowing it. And just, it's kind of crazy.
And even now we have families, wives, children, garden. We're into like the sustainable living stuff. Have pretty much the same name, except for one of us misspelled it. We're still trying to figure out who.
My mother misspelled my name.
Well, and then how did you come together? Like how did you meet? How did this partnership form? What was the creation of the Balloon Guild?
So last year at Balloon Boss Summit, which we're teaching at again, although by the time this comes out, it might have already passed. And if you missed it, you missed it. Sorry. But at the summit, I had this idea based on one of the classes I took that mentioned the word subscription. And I've always thought like, man, I should make recipes and sell them. But I don't like the idea of selling something one time, like one here, one there, whatever. But when I heard subscription, then it started turning wheels in my mind, and I started sharing it with the fellow people and getting some feedback, and it started growing while I was at Summit. And then I had this idea, and Summit was over, and I was itching and excited to get it going. And then somebody named Sarah, who's an awesome lady, but she asked on the Facebooks, hey, wasn't somebody talking about this at Summit? And because John Fudge and I are like the same person, and people confuse us all the time, the replies started coming in. Oh, I think Fudge does stuff like that. I think this was, and I had this dream that's like in my mind so big and amazing. And then it just started crumbling down because I thought.
That tends to happen when I just open my mouth.
Well, and Fudge was like, and to his credit, he jumped right on the opportunity. He was ready. He's like, yeah, I could totally do that. And I'm like, no, but he and I are friends.
Yeah. And to be fair, I also was selling recipes on the side already.
Sure.
And I was selling a number of them. And I think I even spoke to Sarah about some of the ones I had. And I was trying to be nice in saying, like, I don't want to charge you $150 a recipe, which is what I had been charging. I said, I think this is going to be cheaper for you if you just join monthly, stay as long as you need, and then dip out if you need to, or stay if you like it.
Yeah. And I think we should rewind a little bit to explain what I was asking and what the Balloon Guild is. So I posted a question basically being like, can I just buy recipes? Like, I don't want to make my own. I am just starting to train a new employee. Like, I don't know how to communicate what's in my head. I could write it all down, or if there's a shortcut, I'm happy to pay for it. So that kind of started that Facebook conversation. But the Balloon Guild essentially is what you just said, a subscription service for balloon recipes, like how to build certain things.
Yeah, growing library of recipes, not just like we have some in here, join it and pay every month for the same stuff. Like this is going to be a never-ending library of recipes. And when we've exhausted everything that's out there, we're just going to make up more stuff.
Yeah.
I want to see my grandchildren in heaven coming to me and saying, Dad, people are still using the balloon. I don't even have grandchildren right now, but I want generations down the road to still be using it because of how useful it is to our people.
Well, it's strange that our industry is like pretty new. Like it's, it's not like it started yesterday, but like 30, 40, 50 years old, maybe. The people who kind of created everything are still alive. Like we can still get the information out of their brain. So the idea that you're kind of building this basic kind of foundation, it's needed and no one's done it yet. So it's nice to have kind of those building blocks accessible to people.
Yeah. And we're also working really hard on the website to try to make things searchable. So it's not perfect because I'm not a master programmer, but we do have people that are working with us to try to make it so you can search by keywords and color count, and we have an advanced search. So it may take a whole tutorial to teach you how to use it, but once you know how to use it, there's a lot of ways to simplify the searches and you can find exactly what you're looking for, whether it be a column, a sculpture, something in organic, etc. And we have that for recipes, but we also have it for what we're calling SOPs. And SOPs can be literally anything. Like we've got on our SOP page, we've got a balloon sizing chart, foam scripts, packing list. Mr. Gerber put on some of his class notes from some of the classes he's taught. There's even local SEO documentation, how to get better in the search results. So there's a bunch of stuff on there that we've kind of taken and added, but it's not just Gerber and I. That's what it started as. But we're looking to expand and add in, bring more people. Gerber, we actually talked to some people for November. You want to explain some of that too?
Oh, yeah. So October, we have this wonderful lady named Eliana with Heart Leo Balloons. She has given us some really cute marquees that we're using. And marquees is something that we don't have any in there. So I was excited to be able to fill that little void. And then in November, we have Chris and Marlene Potts with Balloon Masters from Buffalo coming, and they are going to share a cubic butt ton of recipes. I think they're going to be like November heavy, but I think you're going to get recipes from them peppered in as long as they keep feeding them to me and I can update them. So we're not limiting recipe collection from just the people who teach or are super famous like Sarah Myers. So we want to collect recipes from anybody who has something that they want to share. And we are trying to incentivize it. And that incentive is based kind of on what we're getting from somebody. It could be anywhere from a free month to, depending on what you're giving, like considerably more.
Yeah.
Goal is for
the Balloon Masters and the pods. They actually came to us, and part of the thing with them is they're writing their recipes on chicken scratch and napkins and pieces of paper and printing out a photo and writing down numbers on it. And so we're able to hopefully translate those into really nice printable recipes that they can use again and again for them and their staff and the rest of the Balloon Guild.
And who's Miss December?
If it all works out, Miss Sarah, that could be you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to share my recipes. They are not complicated. They are not things you probably couldn't figure out on your own. But that was kind of my first question, which led me to the Balloon Guild. It was like, I could do this on my own. Is there a shortcut? Like, I don't need to do this. I can. I don't want to. So my recipes are very simple. Like, we are the same stuff over and over. Organic garland, organic columns, classic arches. And that's how I make most of my money. But everything started kind of unraveling for me when I hired someone to inflate for me, because it's hard to tell someone what to inflate if you don't have anything written down and they don't know how many and they don't know sizes and they don't know how it goes together. And all of a sudden it was smooth sailing for 7 years. And all of a sudden it was like, I've built a business that I can't get help in. Like, this is not good. So that's where I finally had to start writing things down, getting things from you guys, like figuring out a strategy so that I wasn't in her way, basically. So let's come back to the Balloon Guild in a little bit, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about growing a team, because you guys are big team builders. Like, you have teams that look different. You have purchased companies, you work with virtual people, you work with in-person people. So let's talk about your teams. Like, how did you go from one person to having businesses?
For me, I think it's a matter of, there's a story that I'll spare you of, but it's an Old Testament story about David and all these crazy guys getting into these crazy fights. And it talks about how awesome those guys are. And God told me, this is how you build a team. And I'm thinking, like, so I just hire a bunch of people who can murder other people really good? Like, I don't get it, God. This doesn't make any sense to business whatsoever.
Sounds like the making of a great balloon business to me.
I was like, how is this about business? But I thought about it and I realized that without those guys, David was just one guy who could kill Goliath by himself, but he couldn't go very much farther than that. Mm-hmm. So he needed people to push him further. And then I went a step further and started thinking about these guys. And it almost feels like they tried to one up each other on all the cool stuff they could do. So not only have people on your team, but have people on your team who are better than you at the stuff that they're doing. And the fact that they're so good, it inspires the other people on your team to do a better job. And now they're trying to all work together to kind of outshine each other. That's like the ultimate dream team right there.
Yeah.
But it's more a matter of you become the limit when it's just you.
Totally, totally. Like I get in the way all the time because nothing's written down or I'm not prepped when she gets here to help me. Or, I write down like dark green and she's like, we don't have, what's dark green? It's like, why didn't I just say forest green? Like, why am I not using the actual color names? Like I am tripping up my employees. So I totally like that idea of like you become the limit if you're not expanding your team. Are you ready to take your balloon business to the next level? Look no further than Having a Party Wholesale, your ultimate destination for all things balloons. At Having a Party Wholesale, they're not just a distributor, they're your partner in success. With the latest and greatest in balloon innovations, they're on the cutting edge of new products that will wow your clients. From top brands like Tuftex, Jamar, Anagram, Ellie's, Premium Conwin, and more, they've got the widest selection to fuel your creativity. Elevate your balloon business with premium quality balloons and accessories that'll make every event unforgettable. Join the successful league of professional balloon artists who shop at haveanaparty.com. Jonathan Fudge, how about you? Kind of how did your team building start? Because you were a balloon twister. How did you grow into decor and then training other people?
So I was a balloon twister, and at one time, I feel like I could probably say I was one of the best, youngest balloon twisters in the world.
You were young, right? Like when did you start?
I started when I was 8 years old and started my conventions at like 15.
Yeah.
But when the average age was like 40 something.
Right.
So because of that, I was probably the youngest, most talented balloon twister at the time. That's definitely not the case anymore. But because of that, I had a friend of mine's mother actually see me grow in my business. And she came to me one day and she said, look, I see what you're doing and where you're going. And I think it's going to go much farther than I think you even realize. She goes, I want to actually help you. I think I could be like an assistant or something. And I know that this is a big ask. So I don't even want to charge you. I just want to work for you for a little bit, let you see what it is, and then kind of go from there.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was still in high school or beginning of college. I was still in school, no matter what level that was. And so she came to me and I said, okay. She had some family issues. After about 6 months to a year, she had to drop out for other stuff to take care of her mother. But in that time, I realized I need someone to do this role. Like it was so helpful for my business. No, she didn't.
What was she actually doing?
So she was basically answering the phone, answering emails, and like quoting people. Like she did all the administrative side. I still ran with things like Manager Sal at the time. So like I had software to kind of run stuff so she could follow that. But I remember the story that sticks out the most is she called and said, hey, I have a client, it's a repeat client. They want 2 hours. What do I charge? And I said, oh, just charge $200. And I was thinking $200 for the 2 hours. And she charged $200 per hour. And they paid it, happily paid it, and are still clients. So I'm like, okay, I am totally ignorant. I have no idea what I'm doing. And that's when I learned to step back and kind of go with the flow and learn stuff. And like you were saying, anytime there's been a problem in my business, it's always come to me. So I always try to approach every situation with where did I screw up? I had somebody not show up to an event yesterday. I mean, I was there, but he was supposed to be there too. And I thought to myself, I said, this is the first address and this is the second address. But he went back to the office first. Okay. He didn't go immediately to the second address. So I said, well, it's his first week on the job. It's possible that I wasn't clear. So we made it clear. And with my team, I don't care how long your list of mistakes is. I have no problem with that. Everybody makes mistakes. I just don't want the list of mistakes we make twice to be very long.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. I have almost an identical situation happening. Like I just started working with a virtual assistant and I will say things that I'm like, oh, that's super clear. How could there be any misunderstanding? And then when I like replay it back in my head, it's like, that was the least clear thing I've ever said in my life. And a lot of it is coming out in my pricing, which I think really goes back to recipes. It's like, if you don't have a concrete recipe, that's the same every time. Your pricing is kind of willy-nilly. And then when someone else is doing your pricing and your quoting for you, it becomes really obvious. It was a garland and the person wanted like foils added in. So my virtual assistant was like, how much extra are foils? I was like, I don't know, just like $50. And she was like, for how many? I was like, I don't know, like a handful. She was like, how many is that? I was like, oh my God. I had no plan. Just like all of my quoting has been so kind of wishy-washy. Like I have those base items, but upgrades and mileage and installation and returning for a freshen up, like all these things were just prices and quotes that I kind of made up on my own. But having someone else do it really shines a light on kind of all the holes in my company, which is great. It's good. And she's a question asker. So it's really great because I'm having to figure all of those out as we go.
Well, that's fantastic because she's going to help you grow tremendously. And just to kind of round out the story, the same lady who worked for free and had to stop because of her mom, I called her a couple years ago and said, hey, okay, I'm ready to pay you. Jump on board. And she's still with me now. And she's training her assistant to replace her. And we're building up our team in-house for production. So it is coming full circle. And it's all from that I'm so grateful that she came up to me one day and just said, hey, by the way, I see you going places. I want to be there too.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Do you find, Sarah, that this person, so a lot of balloon decorators, myself included, feel bad charging what I want to charge when I'm talking to a client? Because I'm not my own client. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't pay this. Why would I feel comfortable charging someone else for it?
100%.
I'm very comfortable telling my office person what I want to charge for it. And then she goes, and it's not her place to question the price. She goes and charges it all day, every day. And it's not hard for her, where it would be for me, because it's like, oh, I can just give you 50%. You know what I mean? Like, you make deals when they're not even asking for them because you feel bad. My office person doesn't do that.
100%. We just had that happen. It has started to get pretty magical where because I use 17 hats, and part of our workflow is like the lead comes in and I just check a box saying if I'm available or not. And from there, she takes it. So one came in, and it was for like a grand opening, and I checked the box and I can kind of see the correspondence back and forth. And then when I saw the quote go out, I was like, $1,500. Like, this girl will never pay this. She asked for organic columns and a garland. Like, that's not what she'll pay. And then I went back and I was like, you know what though? She charged for the mileage. She charged for the installation. She charged for the organic columns, and she charged for 5 6-foot garlands, which, looking at her inspiration photos, that's the fullness that you need. Versus I'm always like, right, but no one's going to order 6 garlands. Those are just her inspiration photos. Like, we'll do it a lot smaller and more reasonable. And it's like, well, why? Like, that's what she sent. If she wants that picture, that's what it's going to cost. And I don't think we're going to get the job. The girl actually responded and was like, that's more than double what I thought it was going to be. And I kind of just have to be like, okay, but that's what it costs. Like, I'm sorry that you thought it was going to be half the price, but it's not. And I was actually really proud that, my VA sent that quote out, and proud that I didn't kind of backpedal on it. And we can certainly pull back, but it's not my role to pull back before they even ask me to on the budget. So yes, I totally have seen that happening, and it feels really good that full price quotes are going out.
And I have to tell you that same pain and that same struggle happens no matter how many zeros are on the check.
Yeah.
So I've been through that with small numbers and bigger numbers, and like, it is always there in some level.
Yeah. Because like what you said, like, I would never pay that, but like, because I'm a crafty, figure it out yourself type of person, which is why I'm in this business. Most people aren't. Like, I'm not like that when it comes to renovating our basement. I'm not going to figure out how to get the mold off my walls. Like, I am going to pay someone to do that, and I don't care what they charge because I'm not going to do it. So I feel like there are people out there when it comes to decor that feel the same way. All right,
let's helpful.
Sorry, go ahead.
Think about it on a small scale. If you don't have employees, but you've asked someone to help you on a job, how good does it feel when you're on this big A job, which is A means awesome, big, awesome job. And you've given them like the easiest task to do, but it's a complete part of the job. And you've done your part, and you turn around and you realize job's done. And there's a whole part of the job I didn't have to do.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling to know that this big job is not 100% on your shoulders because you have people. That is a good reason to have people and to invest in working with others. Plus, it makes you a better person because of what you said. Like, I have to learn how to communicate. I'm so much better communicating as a boss, and I still get stuff wrong than I was when I started 10 years ago. I kind of wish I had those employees, and I actually just apologized to one. I'm like, I'm really sorry you're not working with me now because I wasn't a great manager or boss when you were. And he's like, yeah, but I wasn't a great employee either. So,
It's hard though. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Okay. So real quick, let's talk about you guys and your teams because they're big. How many employees and team members do you each have?
So I'll start because mine's probably much smaller. On my administration side, I've got two and a half ish. I've got two full time, and then I've got another one that kind of fills in. It's the husband of the wife that works with me.
Okay.
I've got a social media person that's, I say full time, but it's not a full time pay. It's just she works continuously. I've got another person that does basically my copywriting and editing stuff. And then I have now a part-time person in the office and then another part-time person in the office for administration. It's like 20 hours a week. And then I've got myself doing, I'm actually fixing a problem that we have on our website. So like there was an issue with an update that crashed a bunch of stuff, and it's way cheaper to just fix it myself. It just takes time. So I'm trying to take care of that. So I'm probably putting in anywhere from 10 to 20 hours a week just trying to fix that. And that's been the last month and a half. But most of my time is spent working on like the website stuff, fixing the business, training people, and doing that. Most of the production and delivery work at this point is done by the rest of the team.
How many people do you have doing production?
One and a half.
Okay. And installs and stuff too?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also have maybe a handful, like 5 or 6 people that I call that I know just have random weird availability that can do breakdowns and setups.
Okay, cool.
And deliveries. And then I also have my entertainment side. So with entertainment, I mean, there's like 300 subcontractors that I might hire Santa once a year. Like it just kind of depends.
So twisters, face painters, those type of people. Okay. And those are all contractors.
Yeah, those are all subcontractors. Yeah.
Gotcha. Jonathan Gerber, how about you?
Yeah, I have 2 full-time office people. And then I have 2 full-time workers who work with me in my shop. Okay. And they're kind of at the point where they run everything and I just support them. And then I have a bunch of part-timers who help out when we have big jobs and need more hands. And then there's one of the former owners of the company, one of the companies I bought, they still want to work. So they work full-time out in a different location than where I'm at. And then my wife just joined me full-time.
Oh, that's
which
exciting.
is actually exciting. Yeah.
Okay.
Exciting.
So now we're going to bring it all the way back to the beginning. We have a lot of listeners who have no employees. They have no help. They started 2 years ago. Some of them started 10 years ago, and it's just them. What is your advice on the first baby step that they could potentially take?
So one of the things that I purposely put in as many recipes as I make is the time it takes to build stuff. And so the reason I do that is because of this actual question. One of my first big jobs, I literally spent all night, overnight in a venue building, getting ready for a giant baby shower because I miscalculated the time it would take to build and do everything.
Yeah.
So if you know exactly how long it takes you to do each column, what to budget for time getting in and out, unloading and reloading and cleaning up, and you have all your budgets and times down, then you can do the actual math for what you need to do. So if you've got 300 columns that you have to do, that sounds great. Awesome money. But if you're trying to do it yourself, you need to know exactly how much time it takes to build each column, how much of a break you need after how much, how long it's going to take to assemble, to move, to transport, how much space. Like you just have to know those things, and you won't know them unless you track them. And you really want to track them on the small jobs where you don't need it, because that's where you learn so that you can kind of get that gut feeling for the jobs you absolutely do need it.
That's smart. Also, I think it's a nice kind of benchmark. Like if you have an employee and it's taking them an hour to make one column, I think it's nice to know like this should be taking you like 10 minutes, maybe. Yeah, so like, so we got to improve
10
this.
minutes. I give my staff 20.
Yeah. Okay.
And double the amount of time you think you need for the weird stuff.
Yeah,
the stuff
for real.
You never do when you're like, oh, it's just putting these flowers up on their ceiling. It's only 100 flowers. That should be like an hour. You probably need 2 or 3. You know what I mean? And I tell my wife still, she's like, how long is this going to take? I don't know. I think it's going to take an hour. I'm assuming it's going to take us 2.
Yeah.
You know, because it's weird stuff we never do. And we still get weird stuff we never do all the time. My advice would be to automate in the most possible way. If you've ever done something once, like sending an invoice to a client for an 80s, this is where it came from for me. I created this neon theme and I sent the email. This is back when I just emailed and I created little Word documents I attached, which I don't do that same way anymore. And then like a few weeks later, another neon theme. I'm like, dang it, I just created that file. So then I create the same one again, because at that time I wasn't very smart. And then another one comes in. It's like, I'm going to create this file one time and I'm going to save it somewhere. So when somebody wants it, now at that time, I still had to attach that file to an email. Then we started using things like Dropbox Paper, where now I don't even have to attach it to anything. I just, send me your email address. I have a 80s theme brochure, whatever you want to call it. I have the file with everything that we have, and you can keep adding to it and adding to it. You can change the prices on it, and all you need is an email address. And then I can do it from my phone. Oh, hey, you want it? Let me just send you this, look at it, take a look at it, get back to me. Prices are all in it. So if they get back to you, they're already coming to you with knowing what things should cost. Anything that you do more than once, find a way to do it once really nicely and save yourself a lot of time in the future doing it over. And that goes like on my shop. I literally have painter's tape, foot lines measuring on my floor because I'm tired of having to break out a measuring tape just to measure, like, is this a 6-foot pole? I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have patches on the wall.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally like, let's just tape this on the floor. We never need to get the tape measure out again.
Yeah. Smart.
Just crazy stuff.
Hi, this is Jeff with Balloon Suite. If you already have a website, you've been listening to these ads and you're thinking, I'd love to use Balloon Suite, but I know there's a website as part of those packages, and I don't know if I want to switch. Well, I'd like to make it easier for you. Right now, we're offering a free transfer of your existing website over to the Balloon Suite website platform. That allows you to get access to all of the sales and marketing tools, the mastermind, the working sessions, and all the other aspects of the packages we offer beyond your website. Come on over to balloonsuite.com for more details and to get signed up, and we'll get that website transferred over for you.
And in terms of getting help, I don't think there's any right answer, but where do you think most businesses can benefit? Do you think it's someone to inflate and build? Do you think it's admin stuff? Do you think it's like all subcontracted, like people should get rid of social media and that type of one-off stuff? Bookkeeping, like bookkeeping was honestly the first thing I kind of offloaded because someone could just do it all. But I know getting help is really hard. And I don't know if my advice is the best. I'm curious where you guys would start.
So I think that there's different things. So bookkeeping, I think they're all different branches of the same tree. And you can go down one branch really far, or you could like chop off a branch at the base, right? So I think that bookkeeping is definitely one that I forgot about till you mentioned, but 100%.
Get rid of it. Have someone else do it. Yeah.
I like having someone take my calls. It's really hard when you realize that you lose about 80, like a good salesperson is going to do about 80% of what you can. But they're hopefully going to do other things, as we mentioned previously. And then there's inflation, and there's breaking down. And then I had a fifth one, but I forgot. And then social media. So all of those are things that individually you can do off. So I like to knock off social media because I don't like it. If you like it, I got CPA because I don't like it. And then I had an assistant due to my extremely good luck. And I've learned to work with an assistant, and I absolutely love that. I think that's amazing. The things I've held off the longest are a breakdown crew and a delivery or production crew. Those were the last things that I added to my team.
Same.
And I think those are great to add. I think those are definitely good, but it's also, if someone's bad, it costs me way more money. It also takes time to train them. So like for me, I just purposely left those off because it was the most profit for my company.
Yeah. Interesting. How about for you, Jonathan Gerber?
By the time this comes out, we'll have taught on this at Summit. So I consider like a quadrant of every task that I do. There's stuff that I hate and I suck at. That's one quadrant. There's a quadrant of stuff I hate, but I'm good at it. There's a quadrant of I really like it, but I'm not that great at it. And then there's the I'm great at it and I like it. You get rid of the stuff that you suck at and you hate first, whatever that is. It doesn't matter. If you love doing taxes, then don't get someone else to do that for you. Like takedowns always bothers me because it's tagged on the end of a very long day sometimes. And somebody to go take down something, they don't have to know very much for me. They just have to present well because they are. And most of the time, they're not even really around people. They just have to be responsible. And most of these people are people that have a full-time job. They just want some extra money. And I will still make money from people doing takedowns. I get to pay someone else and it makes my days a bit better. So there's just different classifications. And I just say the things that you hate doing, don't keep making yourself do it. Find someone else who can.
Yeah. I just, in October, the book of the month over on the podcast Patreon was called Virtual Freedom, and it was specific to virtual assistants, but I think it applies to anything. And he said you should have these 3 lists to freedom. And it was stuff you hate doing, stuff you don't know how to do, and stuff you shouldn't be doing. And the shouldn't be doing was hard for me because I think that's the category you were talking about, where it's like, you don't mind doing it and you're okay at it, but like you probably shouldn't be doing your own follow-ups on invoices, right? Like there's someone else who is capable of doing that probably. So that helped me just kind of clarify, like, yeah, what are these things I want to get rid of and how can I get rid of them? Almost like reverse engineer the problems. Because for me, the quadrant of stuff I'm good at and actually like are the balloons. And that's, like I like doing installs. I like talking to people and bringing the balloons. I like making sure they look awesome. And I feel like I've had a lot of pressure for a long time to get rid of that. And I just decided I'm going to get rid of everything else so I can do the part that I really like.
Sounds like you need a team of supporters for your artistic talents. And that's how you're growing, though. You're growing in that capacity because people see you, they see the enthusiasm, they see the joy. So unless someone else comes along and you're like, dang, they're better than me. And they
and I do. I mean, the girl who I have inflating for me is like, I don't know, she's better than me in every way. So it's exciting to see her grow artistically and also have the confidence that she can go out and do an install, without me. But it's really fun when we're together. Like that's the best part of hiring help too, is like after 8 years of doing it all alone, it's just more fun to do it with someone. Like that's the point I'm at now. And I'm happy to lose a little bit of money in the process.
I think that's part of it though, is if you're a solopreneur and you just have what you have instead of a business is a job, but you own the job, then you're doing everything. And unless you're charging, like a lot of people don't charge appropriately, so they can't really afford to pay someone to do part of it. And I'm of the scratch, claw, fight, whatever you have to do to get ahead, like especially at the beginning, you just do what you got to do. But eventually your prices are going to get where they need to be. And they should include the fact that labor was built into what you're charging.
Yeah.
And right now you're making that money in labor. But if you gave that money to someone else, you still have profit built into the job. And that frees you to go make more money somewhere else in your company than just like for us, we have so many jobs that are like an hour and 15 minutes away. Almost every other day we're driving so far. Is that the best use of my personal time to drive 2-3 hours a day just to get to a place and back? That doesn't make sense for me when I can do other things that make our company get ahead faster.
Well, and I'm realizing now that you guys don't know this, so surprise, but by the time this comes out, I will have announced it. I'm pregnant. So that to me, thank you. That's a whole part of this story too.
Wow.
We're like, it all suddenly became not what I wanted to do. It's like, what do I need to do in terms of building a team so that I can have a maternity leave and like this is my full-time gig now. I can't just take 3 months off. I have to have a plan in place. So that has also put pressure on. I think that's a whole other side to kind of bring it full circle to having these recipes written down. Like, what happens if you get pregnant? What happens if you get hurt? What happens if you have to go and take care of a family member? Like, if it's all in your brain, which most of mine is, if it's all in your brain, you can't make money. Like there's no way to just pivot overnight. So getting things written down and getting these processes in place, for me, it's so that I can enjoy myself and a new baby. But for other people, it might be for not as fun reasons, like just having the backup and the security of having things recorded.
So I also want to say that one of the other benefits of being a good person and trying to be good at what you're doing is your team, in most cases, will do everything they can to support you. You go through something like that. So we have one guy that had a stroke. He was a caricature artist and couldn't draw anymore. So the whole team stepped up to try to help him out. We had another girl that was hit by a car. She had some issues with that. Whole team stepped up to do that. When my family had our daughter, whole team stepped up to help us with that. So I get such joy and pride and comfort and love out of knowing that my team like cares in those types of things, like does a lot for me. It like lets me know that even though I doubt myself daily, multiple times a day, sometimes, like it's really good to see when those positives happen. So I really hope that you get to see your team step up and take care of you just as you've been trying to take care of them. So that's a really great thing to happen too.
Yeah, I'm feeling confident. So we're recording this. What is it? We're recording this in October. It's not coming out until December. So I'm due in February. So I have a little bit of time to get my ducks in a row, but like they're stepping up already. I'm so excited. And February is a good time to be out of commission anyway. So it's going to work out. I'm excited.
That's great. So happy for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. Well, let's wrap up. Where can people join the Balloon Guild and tell us about the nuts and bolts of it? We know it's a subscription, but like, how does it actually work? Like, is it an app? Is it on Facebook? Like, what is it?
So a lot of it's online. So you go to theballoonguild.com, and from there, we have a couple of header menu items, recipes and SOPs. Once you log in and you're a member, you can click on either of those and find what you're looking for. We also have a private Facebook group where you can post stuff in. And often what we'll find is people will post something like this week, here's a spider that I saw, I want to build it. Do we have a recipe? We did not. So now we have a recipe. It was just posted. Actually, it's sitting to be posted as soon as we finish this. So I have to do my icon, but that'll be posted up for them to use so that they have that. So that's a lot of the resources.
And it's a pretty active Facebook group, right? Like people are posting in there.
Well, and what we also found is like John and I both run our own businesses. I've been on a teaching tour with Batalic for 2 months. So it's been slower for me to create recipes for the guild because I've been creating them for this tour, which I can share sometime the beginning of next year. So there's a lot I've made, but it's been slower on the guild's end on recipes popping out. And what'll happen is somebody will get in, hey, do we have a recipe for this thing? And if the answer is no, and I know, I'll always ask, when is your event? And if I know I don't have time to make it, I'm going to give you everything I can think of. Fudge will put in everything he can on, we don't have a recipe, but this is what I would do to make this thing. And we'll give you every bit of help without actually having had the recipe yet. So even in that way, it should still benefit people, at least getting an idea on how to build the weird stuff that they don't have recipes for yet.
And then we ask them to take a photo so we can put a recipe together for everybody else.
Yeah. Well, very cool. And how much is it?
So we have a coupon code. John, did we make one specifically for Sarah's?
We can pop it into the show notes. If it's not ready right now, we'll link it.
We're going to have a coupon code. Right now it's $25 a month, but with this code, you'll get a 20% off. It's a lifetime discount. We're not raising our prices on anybody who's already a member. Even in a year from now, if it's a $50 a month subscription, you're still going to be locked in at $20 a month.
Nice.
So, and that code will be in the show notes.
Yeah. So just wherever you're listening, we will have it linked. And man, that's cheap.
Yeah. I want it to
cheap.
be an amount of money that is something that you have no reason to say no to. If you want to have something organized on your behalf, have access to, my employees use this whenever they haven't built something yet and I haven't taught them, they ask me, hey, is there a guild recipe for this? Which I love hearing that. And if I'm like, there is, I actually made a recipe for them when I was on this tour. I wasn't in town and it was an item they had never built. I created a recipe, I published it, they printed it out, or they pulled it up on their iPad. I'm not sure which one they did. And then they went and built it, which means I didn't have to spend 2 hours teaching them how to build this thing.
Yeah. And I think that's another skill too. Like if you can teach your employees how to learn, like if you can teach them how to interpret something that didn't come out of your brain, that's like exponentially more powerful.
Yeah. And we try to make them simple. I try to make these recipes for I don't know how to say it, but the dumbest person in the world. If they can read and use your equipment and measure, I guess those are 3 skills they have to have, then they should be able to follow most of the recipes that we're putting out there because I spend extra time dumbing down the instructions.
Well, I think that's really good. I think we've all seen these recipes that even we are like, I don't know what this is even telling me to do. Like, there's no way my employee is going to get this.
And we have some very advanced sculptures and recipes on there too. But one of the things that I've tried to do as well is take an entire scene in this recipe and break it down into components so that we can teach this section, and this section all separately. So you may not use this palm tree in that sculpture, but you might use it somewhere else. Or you may not use this wall in this place, but you might use it somewhere else. So by breaking things down like that, not only do we get more recipes for everybody, but you're able to actually hand the pertinent portion of the recipe to the right person on your team.
Yeah.
Not everybody's doing the whole thing at once.
I think you guys just gave me an idea. I think for fun, I will pay Kate, my inflator. I think once a month, I'm going to like pay her to build something, just like give her a recipe and be like, good luck, see how it goes. Like I'm happy to pay for her time. And I think that would grow her skills faster than her doing organic garlands over and over. Like she knows those, but let's give her a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. And, let's see if she can do a Christmas tree because she's never really sized with like a taper or anything. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a fun way to keep it interesting. And I should probably do that too, honestly. I should probably challenge myself a little bit.
Well,
we all could use a little more practice no matter where we're at.
For real.
Yep. It's good for new people because you can hand them a handful of things so like new people, I teach them how to use our machine. I show them the balloon guild, and then I literally hand them things, and I'll teach them how to tie balloons. And now this is what I want you to do. You go build all this stuff. And I'm saving hours.
Yeah.
With every person that comes on because I'm not having to show them how to do this pattern on a column. You know how to build a column, but you don't know how to do a chevron pattern because you've never done it.
Yeah.
And it can be confusing, but here's the recipe. Go do it. I don't even have to watch you do it.
I've never done what was the recipe you have in there? Is it like the 6-color rainbow? Like it's kind of like the chevron if you look at it at a different angle. I'd never done that in 8 years. I've never done it. And I had the recipe and, stack by stack, I did it. And I was so proud of myself. I was like, it wasn't hard, but I've just never taken the time. Because most of my customers don't care. I would just do like a 5-pack and spiral 5 of the colors, but doing all of them looked so good. And it's not hard if you have the recipe. You just have to slow down and pay attention.
We have every single pattern stack for that recipe on that piece of paper.
Yeah, exactly. Row by row by row. It's just like foolproof. So it's very cool. Well, thank you guys for coming on. I'm excited. I think this will solve a lot of problems for a lot of listeners. And at that price point, I'm hoping people click over and check it out. Even if you don't have employees, it's a resource for just artists, honestly.
Yeah, join up, use a coupon code, check out all the recipes, even the SOPs and the stuff to help your business are great. So hopefully that'll help everybody listen too.
Yeah. And we are still looking for more people who want to share and be a part of what we're doing. Because like I said, I want this thing to be far bigger than myself, far bigger than Fudge. And that's not I don't want to be the limit of this. I want to increase the capacity of what we can do. And that means we need help. So anybody who has anything they want to share, get in touch with us.
All
right. The benefit of the guild is we are a guild. We're a group of balloon decorators working together.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much. I will see you very soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.